Hello.
Howdy.
How's it going?
All right, so this is...
Gray and Erich's movie 2014 review.
Woo! All right, so what we did is we put together like our top 15 movies, and what we're gonna do is we're gonna yell at each other until we figure out what our top 10 is, as well as like some honorable mention, stuff like that, stuff that we really enjoy and recommend seeing.
Yeah, and then in the interlude, a couple of ones that maybe we don't recommend so much.
Before we even get started though, let's knock a couple out just because we haven't seen them, even though we probably should have. But Big Hero 6 and Whiplash just didn't quite make...
We just couldn't schedule around Big Hero 6, and Whiplash is impossible to find. I think it was in like Roxy for a week, and that was the week we didn't go to Roxy, so what you gonna do?
All right, so let's start listing these down. So we have Noah, The Grand Budapest Hotel, Sin City 2, Foxcatcher, The Internet's Own Boy, The Story of Aaron Swartz, Muppets Most Wanted, Edge of Tomorrow, aka Live, Die, Repeat,
X-Men Days of Future Past, Imitation Game, Captain America 2, The Amazing Spiderman 2, John Wick, Birdman, Gone Girl, The Raid 2, Fury, Boyhood, Jodorowsky's Dune, Nightcrawler, Guardians of the Galaxy, Interstellar, and the Lego Movie.
All right, so let's start with knocking some out of there. To start, let's knock out the ones that you didn't see and I recommended not seeing. Sin City 2 is sequel to Sin City 1. Sin City 1 was super impressive with what they did with their budget. And it was super interesting to watch. Sin City 2 did that as well, but they had a bit more budget. They didn't use it very well. It was still really interesting for me to watch. I really like the books, but...
I'll watch it at some point, but as far as like these are the best movies of the year,
I mean, Sin City 1 was a solid, 7.58.
Something like that, yeah.
Sin City 2 is 6.5. It was worth watching, and I'm down to see a third, but not
it has
much
the
better.
general sequel slope.
Next is Foxcatcher. Foxcatcher is another indie movie. We got kind of this year's the year of the indie movie. Lots of cool indie movies. Foxcatcher has some really strong acting. Steve Carell as like a very serious role, and he pulls it off. Unfortunately, the story is just not very interesting. Worth watching if you're interested in acting and that sort of thing, but I wouldn't recommend searching out for it or like I'd Netflix it.
If it's on the screen that you're watching things on accidentally, don't turn it off.
Yeah.
But other than that, like, yeah.
Story of Aaron Swartz, The Internet's Own Boy. That was a cool movie because it was released online for free. It's about the guy who made RSS feeds. It's about the guy who did a lot of cool stuff at a very young age, and he got fucked by the government. And unfortunately, it just was super cool. But it was a documentary, and documentaries have a hard time competing in best movie lists.
Unless they're Jodorowsky's Dune, but we'll get to that later.
So those three are knocked off right off the bat. What else? Edge of Tomorrow was really cool for the sheer amount of practical effects they did. Way better than it deserves. Plus, Tom Cruise is this actor that's kind of hated now. And they do a great job of killing him like 20 times.
That was the point of the movie.
I joke, but like everyone kind of hates him. And he plays himself in the beginning. And then as he dies more, he becomes more likable. And it's just this great analogy for how we dislike him as an actor.
I almost want to keep it now just to put it up against Fury.
How about Noah?
Oh yeah, Noah. I want to give like a good thumbs up to.
Definitely.
Like you said, it's like the first Bible movie thing that isn't super Bible-y. It's just a story, and even though it's been getting mixed reviews, I want to see Exodus because of that. Noah was really good. You don't have to be religious to like it. Story-wise, it was really solid. Character-wise, it was really solid. It had a nice, unique design that didn't feel super biblical.
I'd say best Bible story since
Prince of Egypt.
Prince of Egypt, yeah. Prince of Egypt is like the only other story that's a Bible story that I can watch and still enjoy just out of the sheer story.
And the music, holy cow.
And Noah's on that same tier. This one I think we can agree is a 7.
Yeah, you said 7, I said 7.5. Yeah.
All right, so that one's knocked off the board.
All right, and with that we're at 17, so we have 2 more that we need to knock off, and then we can get down to it.
How about Imitation Game? Or not yet?
Not yet.
Fair enough.
Yeah.
X-Men Days of Future Past?
Yeah, that one.
X-Men Days of Future Past got a lot more credit than it deserved, I felt. Its Rotten Tomatoes score was 91%. IMDb is 8.1. and we agreed like 7.5-ish.
Yeah, no. If you enjoyed any of the good X-Men movies, this is great. I also like really enjoyed. By the way, there will be moderate spoilers in these discussions. I really enjoyed how this movie canonizes all of the good X-Men movies and ignores all of the bad ones. That was really that was just a bold and the right move for the X-Men movies. It's a solid movie, but it's not. Oh my goodness, best we have way better superhero movies nowadays.
The new actors for Magneto and Professor Xavier are excellent. And I really enjoy them. First Class was fantastic as well. This was a great marrying of those two worlds. And highly recommended. Unfortunately, 7.75.
What was the other one that I said had Sin City? It does the same kind of thing where Days of Future, First Class was oh my goodness, this is amazing. And this one's this is pretty good.
Yeah.
So let's bump that off. So one more. I want to say Amazing Spider-Man 2, but that's another one that's I want to give it high praise like Noah.
All right, so Amazing Spider-Man 2, that's a film that I feel gets an entirely unfair rep. That is a film that is one of the better Spider-Man films in a long time, and a lot of people disliked it for dumb reasons.
We were just talking about how, X-Men is not a 9 whatever the way the internet's saying. This is not a 5 whatever like the internet's saying. Yeah, it's a very solid 7. It's a really, it does things that other Spider-Man movies have struggled to do successfully. It also has weird issues that I can't...
Yeah. Just for reference, Rotten Tomatoes gives it a 53%, and IMDb gives it a 6.9. And I think we're in agreement that it's a 7 to 7.5 film.
So actually, IMDb is kind of close with 6.9. It just doesn't do the 0.5s like we do.
Without going into spoiler territory, it's the first Spider-Man film to pull off 3 villains very well.
Yep.
Best Spider-Man actor, maybe not the best Peter Parker actor, but best version of Spider-Man. All of the villains were very interesting. Mm-hmm. There were issues with the film. It was not a perfect film.
The villain side story stuff got a
little bit, but as a proof of concept for future Spider-Man films, I was so down.
Yeah.
But the rest of the world wasn't.
And it's really sad because I think didn't it come out in the Sony leak that there are repercussions, they're second guessing the Spider-Man franchise because of this? You should all be ashamed of yourselves. Yeah, no, this movie was it was trash both publicly and critically, and I don't understand why. It's super solid. Okay, Spider-Man 2 gets a high praise. I would say watch it before watching some of the other ones we've mentioned. We're taking an intermission now, and we need to do our first subcategory, most Kevin Smith movie of the year. And
this was a hard fight.
It was a hard fight.
But by a landslide, it's gonna have to go to Tusk.
Chasing Amy.
Gonna have to say Tusk.
Is it because Chasing Amy didn't come out in 2014?
That's correct.
Because
Chasing Amy's good.
Disqualifying it on a technical. Tusk is such a weird movie. So for those of you who don't know, but it's intriguingly and fascinatingly weird. Okay, so Kevin Smith.
We're gonna spoil the fuck out of this movie.
You will know the movie back and forth by the end of it, and if you watch it, you still won't know what's going on.
Don't watch it. So, all right, I was the biggest Kevin Smith fan. I love him as his story as a filmmaker. I love what he did. So if you don't know Kevin Smith, maker of Clerks 2, maker of Chasing Amy, fucking...
the Cop-Out, Dogma.
Yeah, he came out of nowhere, made his movie with his own budget, and he is the symbol of an independent filmmaker doing it for himself and then making it big. Unfortunately, he keeps fucking up. So Red State was the one I like. I liked that film. I liked the
Red
concept.
State. I actually like Red State.
Did you watch it?
Oh yeah.
Okay, so I love the concept. I like the idea. Not good.
I'm not actually. I didn't mind the execution. I actually actively like Red State. It has weird pacing stuff, and it's not a great movie.
Number?
But
I'd say 6.65.
Yeah, 6.5.
All right. So the problem with it, positive and negative with it, is what he does is whenever it feels like the story's predictable, he just goes in an entirely different direction, and that's admirable. It's also not good for movie making.
It makes for sometimes it works as a surprise, and sometimes it feels disjointed, where you're like, oh, I guess this is a new movie now.
Yeah. It's Tusk.
So, on 2014, he made a movie, Tusk, and Gray knows more about its creation story than I do. But from what I understand, he was joking around on a podcast, and he said, "What if someone made Human Centipede, but instead they turned him into a walrus?"
And then he just convinced himself to make it there.
And I was so down. And then he made that movie, which sounds hilarious.
I was so down for this movie. I love Kevin Smith. I love the idea. I'm so down. I see the trailer and it's super exciting. I contacted all the local theaters. Can you show this? I want to watch it. I will pay you money. I will bring other people to pay you money. And they're all like, yeah, maybe. And it came out, and there was really polarized reviews. Either people saying it's super negative or super good. And like he was really disappointed because he actually went to Twitter and asked, like, do you guys want to see this movie? Walrus yes, #Walrus yes. And #Walrus yes got super popular. And then it came out, and eventually they released it on iTunes. And I'm like, fuck yeah! And so we got it, and we're like, yeah, let's watch fucking Tusk.
Oh man. Oh god. That movie's so weird.
So Human Centipede I can appreciate. I don't like it, but I can appreciate it.
I can accept that Human Centipede is a movie.
Yeah, it's a movie that's sole purpose is to disgust me. And I can appreciate that, and like the goal works, and like the goal is very clear. The second one's bad because it doesn't do either, but the problem with Tusk is that it's trying to be like 5 movies. It's trying to be funny. It's also trying to be scary because of like human modification.
There are movies that have like weird conflicting tones.
Yeah.
This wasn't just trying to be 5 movies. It was trying to be 5 movies and failed at each and every one of them. But like even that, like, okay, the way we're talking about this movie makes it seem like it's more coherent than it actually is. It's really hard to understand what's going on.
And then sometimes it's so bashy with its points. It's so like, hey, this guy's fucking drugging this guy. He's gonna pass out.
What's in this tea? Oh, can I have some more tea? And the guy's not drinking his tea.
I think I'm getting tired. Oh, geez, I'm getting tired from this tea. Can I have more tea? And I'm like, fucking, I get it. The tea is drugged. Get off my back. And then at other times, it's just so out to left field. And then, all right.
It's like he turns a guy into a walrus in the movie, and the guy's a walrus in the movie.
And then he just becomes a walrus. And everyone's all like, guess that guy's a walrus.
And he's like a walrus. There was like the thing where it sets this, like it sets this guy up and you don't really know what's up with him. And him and his girlfriend are kind of like, not bad times, but he's a little bit like not listening to her and stuff. And then later, as he's being turned into a walrus, you see his girlfriend is with someone and it's like hiding the other guy. And later you find out it's his best friend. Here's the thing. There are 3 characters in the whole movie. Of course it was going to be the best friend.
No, there was no surprise that there was going to be the other guy.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, like, it was only other one person it could be.
Yeah.
And it pretended like it was this big reveal.
He's like out of focus in the other room, and you hear his voice like, "You coming?" And she's all, "In a second." And he's like, "I wonder if it's the best." It's the best friend. Good job.
And then there's this surprise cameo by who?
Johnny Depp.
Johnny Depp comes in playing a French Canadian, and he just. It's like he walked on set and they're like, fucking record all the footage that he says. And he just talks in this French accent and you can't understand a fucking word he says. And he just babbles. He just babbles out.
And the best part of the movie, but it goes on for 5 straight minutes, which doesn't sound like a lot of time.
I think it's like a half hour.
I don't think it's a half hour.
But remember the story? Like it goes into that side segment. No,
it's like a half hour. Not a half hour. It's like 10 minutes.
We skipped tons of it.
Yeah, we
just didn't understand any of what was happening. We couldn't understand what he was saying. We just started skipping
the
wholesale.
movie. The story had nothing to do with it. And like, it's a bad movie, but it's so. People use the expression like watching a train wreck, and usually when they say that, people are like, "Oh, this couple was arguing, and it was like watching a train wreck. I couldn't look away." And when people usually say that, they're just actually bad people, and that's why they couldn't look away. Tusk was like watching a train wreck, where it was so confusing and so like, what is going on? Is anything about to happen? And like. Each pinnacle milestone of the movie, of the story, didn't feel like a big thing. Like the whole movie felt like the introduction to the movie.
Yeah.
For 2 hours.
Let me know if you agree with this. I would rather watch The Room than The Tusk again.
Absolutely.
I watched The Room like 3 times.
I've seen
because it's entertaining. It's entertaining to watch.
I would rather watch The Room than Tusk.
Entirely. Watching Tusk once was too many times. And this is the thing. He's making 3 more movies.
3 more Tusk movies.
Yeah, it's from the same world. He's making Yoga Hosers. He's making like some slapshot movies and Moose Jaws, which is Jaws with a moose. And I want it to be good. I want to watch this movie.
Moose Jaws to be amazing.
But I can't believe you, Kevin Smith. You made me watch this movie. I don't care that I didn't pay money for this movie.
There are times when it almost feels like satire. When like if Tusk was a huge rip on Human Centipede and it was trying to be funny all the way through, it would have worked.
But it wasn't funny.
It wasn't funny.
It was just weird. It was weird and dumb. It was dumb and weird. Don't watch Tusk.
Don't watch Tusk. Oh. And with that, our
right.
top 15.
All right, so we're down to 15. Here we get into the hard ones. This is gonna get heated.
So Captain America 2 is the next one. You gave it a
Yeah,
7. I gave it an 8.
Yeah. Captain America 2 is super solid. It was way better than it should have been.
I think if Captain America 2 gets on the top 10, John Wick has to, and that doesn't feel right.
No, you're right. I don't think it's on the top 10. Captain America 2 is like... So Captain America 1 was really cool because it was World War II and fun and exciting. And there's this question of how do you make a sequel to it? And the answer is you take modern America and compare it to old America. And that was really cool, having that clash of ideals and our two main characters like fighting it out. That was super neat. It was way better than it should have been. It was super fun.
Go ahead.
But it's still a stereotypical Marvel movie. And I mean, it's better than like all the other ones. Better than Thor 2. Better than Iron Man 3.
It's better than all the other ones, and then you name like the worst one.
Yeah, I mean, Guardians of the Galaxy, we're going to talk about more later.
Oh, yeah. No, Guardians of the Galaxy belongs on the
Guardians of
top
the Galaxy is good on its own merits. Captain America 2 is one of the best.
It's the definition of
Marvel
a solid movie, but not a great movie.
Yeah. It's super good. It's going to end up in that bottom 15.
Yeah, and with that said, I think John Wick as well. John Wick is like the perfect brainless action movie. There's like only a couple of things where I was like, that was actively a bad decision to do that. But even that said, all of the things that were done well weren't ambitious and weren't. And it's like all. John Wick is a movie where Keanu Reeves plays John Wick, and people kill his dog, and he goes on a murder rampage as revenge, and it's amazing. It's really good, but it's exactly what you think.
Yeah.
Like from my sentence, you could make the whole movie, and then
but
he murders a bunch of people.
The thing that's impressive was that it was so well done.
Yeah.
This is one of the best action films, stereotypical action films in a long time, and it was this excellent reminder that Keanu Reeves is a solid actor. And we keep forgetting that.
Yeah,
it's been so long since we've been reminded how good Keanu Reeves is.
Yeah, you can totally do it. There was cool things like the gunshots all felt realistic. Like if someone got shot in the arm, they'd keep going. If they got shot in the head, they were down. He would count his bullets.
They built this world really quickly, and it was just super solid.
It felt almost like Wanted, where it's like this is a world where assassins and killers live.
Except good. Wanted was bad. Wanted
I
was
don't
a bad
remember
movie.
Wanted.
The comic was awesome, but
that's what
we're
I've
not
heard.
talking about that. John Wick was super good.
Bonhoeffer.
Imitation Game is.
It's not a bad movie. Like
By no means is it a bad movie.
I think we're out of the field where we're talking about bad movies or mediocre movies. Like
all these 15 movies are fantastic to watch.
Yeah.
Now we'll get that out of the way. Imitation movie has this problem where it's incredibly Oscar baity. It is so concerned with trying to win Oscars that's really frustrating. The main actor, Benedict Cumberbatch, did a fantastic job, and I don't think he's any of his other characters, which is impressive, considering that he is in so many movies right now.
To be fair, I never saw The Fifth Estate, so I don't know how he plays Julian Assange.
Neither did I.
But he wasn't Sherlock in a role that the trailer specifically was like,
it looks like Sherlock.
He's playing Sherlock again, and he
doesn't feel like a dragon.
Doesn't feel like. You're right.
He doesn't feel like a dragon.
Benedict Cumberbatch is like. He's a legitimately good actor. It's kind of like when Matthew McConaughey started doing good stuff, and you're like, oh man, Matthew McConaughey can act. Benedict Cumberbatch is an entertaining Sherlock, and he's a charming guy, and all of that, and he's British. But he's also a really good actor, and this was a movie that absolutely showcased that.
Definitely. No. He, this shows that he is the chameleon that we all thought he was. Keira Knightley did a great job, too.
Yeah.
Everyone else did a good
job. Everyone else, did a passable job.
Sam Wisey was in there.
Sam Gamgee was? He was, wasn't he?
Yeah, you kind of forget it.
I kind of.
Yeah,
you're right.
He was in there.
Sam Gamgee.
I looked into. There's a Snopes for videos. I'll put it in the annotations. And it was interesting to look at the real story compared to what they say happened.
Yeah.
You watch the movie and you go, this didn't happen like this. This is a little bit bullshit.
It's a beautiful mind, except it's not hiding. It's fakery as well.
Yeah.
Let's go over Imitation Game, then let's go over Fury, then let's battle it out.
Cool.
So the problems with Imitation Game, so far we've only sung its praises. It does get very Oscar baity. Specifically the story. There are two different stories, and this is slight spoilers, but if anyone knows anything about Alan Turing, who Benedict Cumberbatch plays, there's two significant things about him. Three. The first one is that during World War II, he designed a machine to break this unbreakable German code or cryptography machine called the Enigma machine. The second thing is that he had a lot of theories about machines that think, and he set a lot of the groundwork for just the thought processes that could lead to modern day computers and stuff like that. And the third thing is that he's gay. The second thing, the laying the groundwork for computers, isn't touched on a whole lot.
The fact that he's gay is relevant because this is the time when being gay was illegal.
Like straight illegal.
Yeah.
Like,
and I will spoil a little bit at the end of the story. He got chemically castrated. because
It's not a little bit. That's just the end.
that's the end. He was revealed to be gay,
Spoilers.
chemically castrated, and he committed suicide a year afterwards because he just couldn't live with himself.
So the problem with the movie is that it has two stories: him breaking the Enigma code and him being gay, and they don't play well together. It feels like the first half of the movie is about the Enigma code and the second half is about him being gay. And I felt like they probably should have got the Enigma stuff out of the way in like the first act and then had the full movie be about him being gay. And so the problem is now, once the actual story is out of the way halfway through the movie, the rest of the movie is just kind of Oscar bait stuff where it's like, it's really tough not being able to be my true self and things like that. And that's a potentially good story. All the pieces were there, it just like wasn't paced well.
This is a good film. Is this the best film? No.
No.
So let's go to Fury. So Fury, in my opinion, is comparable to a lot of the other high-end World War II films, Chasing Private Ryan, all those sorts of things. And it came out this year. It's kind of the story of this like small group that lives inside this tank. And what it did an excellent job of is making this tank feel really confined. Doing an excellent job of kind of providing the life of this tank, kind of the way it messes up your psyche. Also, it's happening near the tail end of World War II. World War II is really boring now. We've got too much of World War II, but this happens near the end. And so let's tell a couple more things. Everyone's pulling out. Germans have already surrendered, but not everyone's given up. And so there are kids fighting. There are, there's just some majorly bad stuff happening. And they don't portray the Allied as good people either. They've been here a long time. They're done. They are borderline raping people when they go into towns. And it's super harsh, but it felt accurate. Near the end, it gets a little bit hoorah.
Yeah.
But it always felt like they were in danger in this tank, even though they were protected. And I really appreciated that. This did a lot of things that a lot of World War II films haven't done, and it added to the World War II films that are out. And where's your opinion on it?
Not that.
Oh, good.
I thought that it definitely didn't portray the tank people as all good people, although it tried to redeem them at the end. The problem I had, so I don't think that it's comparable to a Saving Private Ryan, and I don't think it contributes much to the narrative of World War II movies, and I do think things like Monuments Men and Imitation Game, even though Monuments Men wasn't as good, it was different enough that I could appreciate that. The problem that I had with Fury is that the stuff that wasn't actively bad was stereotypical. There were a couple moments where it's like, oh, that's grim, and I watched Game of Thrones, I know grim, and that was rough. The first time a guy gets lit on fire, that sucks. The third time, it's like, you did that already.
I would argue that was intentional.
Good, great.
I would say that by the third time someone gets lit on fire, it's supposed to feel like this is ordinary. In the beginning, I'll back that up a little bit.
Okay.
In the very beginning, they have the audience surrogate come in. It's a new army guy. He's kind of normal. The entire thing is he is going through the same events the audience is going through. First time a guy gets burned, super impactful. Just like the first time that they have to kill an enemy soldier.
It is a great scene. The guy gets burned. Should we go into too many spoilers?
This one we're going to go a little bit deep in.
Okay. All right. The guy gets burned and then he shoots himself.
Yeah.
And it's like crazy to watch. And you're like, oh, geez.
But near the end, it starts getting to be mundane. And I would argue that's entirely the same. That's the same journey that the main character goes on.
Yeah, okay, that's my second problem with the movie. So I'll give you that.
Yeah.
I agree with that. My second problem is that I don't buy the journey that the main character goes on. And you could maybe argue that was intentional, where like he's lying to himself. But it feels like partway through the movie, first off, he's all like, I can't kill anybody. Oh, geez, Whirlikers. And then like partway through the movie, he starts killing them. And then another partway through the movie, he's like, I like killing them. But the actor never sells it. And like, he feels like at the end of the movie, he's all like, fuck you, Nazis. But his delivery is so bad that I don't care. The Brad Pitt character is way better than him.
Oh, yeah. I would argue that every character short of the audience, every character that was not the audience surrogate was a much better actor. Shia LaBeouf is an actor that we all hate.
They had an actual cannibal.
He's good. He's good at acting. It's a shame he's a crazy person.
Yeah.
No, audience surrogate was the weakest actor. I did not have the same issue. I did feel that his journey was, it felt appropriate. He went from...
I saw where they were going with it.
He went from not wanting to kill anyone to the Brad Pitt forcing him to kill someone to once he made that first kill, he was a lot more willing to do it, and then it was just a matter of holding down the trigger.
The other problem I had is the Allies aren't particularly portrayed as good people, but some of them, they're all really one-dimensional, except for maybe the Brad Pitt character. And the problem is the Germans, not that like the Nazis were right or anything like that, but the Germans are just portrayed as like the scum of the earth. And there isn't enough balance. Like Saving Private Ryan had balance. Like there are Germans that are just caught up in this war too. Whereas in Fury, it was definitely, there's like one German that does a good, there's one Nazi specifically, there are German civilians, but there's one soldier that does a good thing. And aside from that, they're all assumed to be scumbags and they're all shown to be scumbags. And it like makes it.
I would agree with that, yeah.
And
it doesn't show.
That's less interesting because that's been done every single time.
I disagree with that, but I do agree that they don't show the German children as potentially good people, but that was also the era that they were fighting.
Or just normal people.
They were fighting against people who were desperate. I did enjoy having child soldiers on the German side. That was like, all right, you were saying the Monuments Men where they had that child in there and they like.
Bill Murray and the child doesn't want to kill Bill Murray, and Bill Murray doesn't want to kill the child. And
the Fury,
they're just like chilling.
The Fury analogy of that is they're driving down the road and the audience surrogate sees him and he hesitates on opening fire, and that child soldier fires a rocket at a tank. And an entire
and he
tank
kills an
of
important
people,
person.
Like 5 people are dead
including
because
the
of
platoon leader.
Yes,
like
5 people are dead. His hesitancy caused those deaths, and yes, and obviously they killed the child soldier right after that. But his hesitancy caused that, and that was, I would say, more influential than the Monuments Men equivalent scene of that. While the Monuments Men showed that the Germans weren't necessarily bad people, I feel we've seen that enough in films, and this one wasn't tried to tell that part again. It was a little bit more interested in showing those hard lines that those people had to make and what those people made, what it made them into.
So there's basically 3 acts, and that was actually done pretty well. There was like the first act. Okay, there was the first act where they're getting to they're just on their way to this town, and I didn't really like that. Just felt like
when Brad Pitt vomited. That was super cool.
Brad Pitt vomited?
Yeah, in the very beginning, he loses this guy and he maintains his calm composure, and then they stop, and he gets out to separate himself, but he can't because there's people all around. So he gets as far as he can and he vomits, and then behind this fence is all of these civilians trying to like get in to be safe.
Oh, right, yeah.
And he's trying to be separate, but there is no separate. There is no separate. Everyone is doing the same thing. That was super cool.
I enjoyed Imitation Game more than I enjoyed Fury.
I can acknowledge that. That's
qualitatively,
fair.
They're about the same. I found Fury to be more stereotypical but less flawed than Imitation Game, but I found one of my biggest problems with Fury is that half of the characters I actively don't enjoy, and they're not like anti-heroes. Yep. They aren't like the House of Cards guy, where like nothing about you is good and you're a despicable human being. But damn if I don't want you to win.
Yeah.
I just didn't enjoy like when they were on screen. The Garcia, which the driver of the tank, I just didn't click with me. He didn't feel special.
It's funny because that's when we don't talk about it all.
Yeah. Shane, I like actively hated, and not in a clever like, oh, you made me hate Joffrey kind of way. It's just I just like you're useless and you're a bad person.
And see, I think that's where we differ a little bit. I didn't like them. I didn't want them to succeed, but I was more interested in them. I wanted to kind of know what's going to happen. I wanted to know more about them. I wanted to know why they were such pieces of shit. And I feel that they did kind of explore their character enough that I was satisfied. Muppets Most Wanted was the sequel to the first Muppets movie, the reboot.
The first new Muppets movie.
Yeah.
The first 7th or something Muppets movie.
Let's be clear. That's a super funny movie. It's fun. It's enjoyable.
It's funny. It has a nicely structured plot, if not like kind of,
To be fair, I am much less pro Muppets than you are.
Yeah.
You are super pro Muppets. You
love the fuck out of the Muppets.
I do not love the fuck out of Muppets. I enjoy them, and I have like obviously a childhood of Muppets. But
obviously he was a child at one point.
And I appreciated it, but the first Muppet movie was exceptional.
Yes.
So the recent reboot was exceptional and really enjoyable, and it was like this nice.
The Muppets was fantastic.
Very good.
Holy cow.
Most Wanted was
it felt
in
like
the world of the top 15. It was okay. It was. I mean, we're debating a point difference here. Mm-hmm. We're talking 7 to 8, and I mean like I might go as high as 7.5, but I wouldn't go lower than a 7. It was a very good movie, but
I would drop Muppets down to a 7.5. I saw it when it first came out, and so I'm trying to remember it. And from what I remember, like it kept up the humor. And it had a good story, a good follow-up story, but it didn't have, like, it had dead moments.
It very much so did. There was a lot of fun parts. I enjoyed watching it. I'm gonna watch the next one when it
There
comes
was
out.
a little bit too much build up and stuff.
I waited until it was on DVD to watch it, and I'm glad I did. Yeah, I wouldn't have enjoyed it nearly as much in theater as you would.
Muppets was a solid Muppet movie. It wasn't
agree
an
with
exceptional Muppet movie.
The Raid was this film about, I think, last year.
2 years ago.
2 years
Raid
ago.
was 2013. Raid 2 was 2014.
I don't know. I don't remember where it was made, but it is a foreign film. Got subtitles and all that jazz.
Thailand?
Think so. Incredibly good action, and they built it really, really cheap. The Raid 2, they gave a budget, and their response to having a budget was, let's go fucking off the wall and just make this ridiculously
The
awesome.
thing is, they went fucking off the wall in story, not in like, and now he's fighting 1 million people.
No,
What?
just they enhanced the story. They went for like more complex fight scenes, but not insane in style, just like insane in still a realistic, just high pace, high skill.
Yeah,
The Raid 2 for me, because we watched it in a double feature, and that was awesome.
Yeah, holy
Raid
cow.
1 is super cool. It has some negatives. It's still a little bit kind of lost in its fight movie, but it was just really good, and the fighting was just so well done. Raid
it
2
got overwhelming towards the end, but yeah.
Yeah, Raid 2 didn't have that issue. It didn't get lost. I would say Raid 2 is better than Raid. Would you agree with that?
Yes.
Okay. It didn't get lost in its trying to fill the tropes of fighting movies. It was entirely willing to make its own story, not fit with the tropes, and make it good.
So,
But still deliver on that really solid action.
Oh,
they
yeah.
They had a character with their thing was that they had a metal baseball bat, and that was super cool. And then there was
they would
claw
baseball
hammers.
bat balls at people's
Oh,
faces
fuck
and
yeah,
murder them.
it was just so slow. She'd pull this fucking bat, baseball.
Her friend had the bat. She had the hammers.
Pack. It was so fucking good.
was really
Claw
cool.
hammers were super cool.
And it was grisly. And it was like, ugh.
And like it was like they still were doing the thing where there was like these sub bosses and they were really good at one kind of weird fighting.
Yeah.
But I was super down. I didn't feel like, oh, this is
That
stupid.
paced up better than. I mean, there was that one. There was the one carryover in the prison scene where they just have a massive battle and like it just ends for no reason and then it's done. And that was kind of the only off action for me. Even though it was well done as an action scene, beat or like pacing wise, I don't think it meshed up. Everything else ramped up nicely and ramped up stakes wise very
Violence was
nicely.
excellent. All of those effects.
All that stuff in
so
the kitchen
top-notch.
was really good.
Top notch.
And this
gory,
movie was made for $1 million.
super
2
low
million.
budget.
2 million, yeah.
Very low budget. I think the first
Less
was 1
than
million.
doubt-
The second was 2 million.
The Raid 2 added a story where the Raid 1 didn't really have one. And that story, like that was a good move. And the story was good. But inside the story is the parts that I didn't like. The main antagonist was really strawman-y and had no arc and started getting really whiny and like his motivations.
Antagonist?
The guy, the son of the mob mogul. And my problem
I
with him is
disagree.
that he was just like, he's like, my dad doesn't respect me, I'm gonna be a bad guy. And that was like his whole arc. And it just didn't feel right to me. And there wasn't enough tension. It didn't feel earned. It felt like, and now at this plot point, he becomes mad and a bad guy. And that's just what happened.
It didn't rub me the wrong way nearly as much, but I do see what you're coming from with that. We can't say it's 10 and 11 for both of them because that doesn't really work.
Right.
But I mean,
Oh man, but what if we did?
we could.
What if spot 10 was Muppet/Raid?
Because I mean, 10, 11 can be Muppet/Raid, and then.
And then Muppet/Raid could be also in our bottom 5.
Yeah.
If we could.
All right,
sit
let's
here-
do that.
All right, I absolutely agree. They're perfectly equivalent films in overall quality.
Yes. Gone
I think,
Girl.
yeah, Gone Girl. Yeah, you know what? Gone Girl.
Gone
that was
Girl.
like the least great of all the great movies.
Who's the director of Gone Girl?
David Lynch.
David Lynch.
Fincher.
David Fincher.
David
Sorry,
Lynch.
yeah, nothing.
David Fincher.
Super good movie. Lots of really great acting.
I
Story
played
was
with my expectations a lot. Like,
story was super good. I went in not knowing a whole lot about the movie, and it was just way better than it should have been.
Yeah.
And everyone's pretty on the fence. Everyone agrees.
its downside is it doesn't really have closure. Like the end just doesn't. It doesn't land the ending. It doesn't fumble it. It's
Yeah.
not like BioShock
Yeah,
where it's
yeah.
like, oh, geez, what's going
No,
on?
it doesn't fumble it, but that
just
is its
feels like,
weakest point.
And I guess this is where the story ends. It
I don't
doesn't
know.
have like a down thing.
I don't know if I would change it. I know you probably would.
I would be decisive in either way.
I enjoyed the simmer of an ending. But I also agree that it is the reason it gets an 8. Changing the ending, I'm not sure would make a better film. But I do agree that it sits really nicely at this 8.
Yeah, all right. So spot 9, right under the
Yeah.
Raid 2 / Muppets Most Wanted. Birdman's positive, it's its negative. So the thing with Birdman is it's this really great story, but it's all done in effectively one take. It wasn't literally one take, but the movie reads as just one big sequence of events, and it does that amazingly. The problem is there's like a section towards the second act that should have like either been paced differently or just cut. and instead it just stretches out and kind of like makes the movie feel paced off.
So since we're talking about indie films, the positive with Birdman is it was indie. It was low budget, but it's got all these high-end actors.
Yeah.
And what I admired is that it used that low money to really dedicate to its artistic vision, to the positives or negatives of the film. It was able to not cater to its audience. It demanded they pay attention.
Absolutely.
And
Absolutely.
I greatly admired that.
And I don't think the story that they wrote needed a thing like this. Like,
Yes.
I don't think it would have still been good, but it wouldn't have been nearly as fantastic and functional if it didn't do the whole one-take sequence thing.
Super incredible movie. Highly recommend it. And the world agrees. 93% on Rotten Tomatoes, 8.7 on IMDb, and we kind of agreed on like an 8.25.
Yeah,
I said 8. You said 8.5.
There you go.
And I think that sits really nicely on the 8.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Birdman, once again, all of these movies are fantastic. Go watch them.
Yeah.
But Birdman is just like, it's just like qualitatively has a couple of problems.
Now we get in the fun ones. So Boyhood and Dune.
This is weird. This is such a weird conversation.
Boyhood's super cool.
Boyhood is super cool.
The story of Boyhood's really cool. I think it's 7 years in the making.
14 years in the making.
14 years in the making. They start when the boy is very young, and it grows with this main actor.
Every kind of scene or so is another year.
And he grows taller, and all of the actors grow in real time.
And they got Ethan Hawke, who was a legit actor then and is a legit actor now.
Yeah.
And same with the mom.
And so this actor is growing as it goes, and the story is growing as it goes. So this took forever to shoot.
And the story is about growing up.
Yeah. But I think the most important thing to say is that even if it didn't have this gimmick, this movie would have still been great.
Yeah.
But the gimmick complemented it so well. This film didn't have to be great, but it was.
Yeah, absolutely.
This is the film that I've been recommending to people if they're not big film people, but they like nice films and they're sick of how movies are.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
It is the slice of life movie that every university student thinks they're making.
Yeah.
They all think they're making this little slice of life thing. This is actually it. They did it really well. I loved every one of those characters. I felt bad for them.
They like fluctuate in very natural ways. Like they replace traditional character. They replace traditional character arcs with natural character growth. Which is like, it's almost like Game of Thrones in that way, where like they're just, all the characters are doing what they need to do, and some of them start out as scumbags, and then they pick up themselves, and some of them are like trying to manage their life, and they're just barely keeping afloat the whole time. And
see, I want to go into depth into some of these parts, but I can't, because I think that's a big part of it. A big part of it is watching it and having someone you can chat about with all of the cool shit they did.
If you expect anything, like if we were like, oh, there's the scene where his hand gets cut off, or the one where like he feeds a baby to dogs or something like that, and you go into the movie waiting for that stuff. Like in Fury, we can be like, oh, there's the part where the guy gets shot, and you can like assume that that's gonna happen. It's not gonna mess you up. If you sit down in Boyhood waiting for a particular scene or a particular moment or waiting for anything other than the general concept, it will mess it up a little bit and it'll throw off the pacing. And I think, going in as blind as you can is good stuff. No.
Oh, you suck. Okay, so Grand Budapest Hotel is by Wes Anderson.
It's by Wes Anderson.
Okay, so Wes Anderson's big thing is that he does a lot of center framing and a lot of weird framing. And he like
his cinematography is amazing.
Oh, no, don't get me wrong. It's beautiful. And like the shots are really cool and all that kind of fun shit, and it's like funny.
And it's
shit.
like paced really well. And everything is on a metronome.
I
and
just
it's
didn't find it
amazing.
funny.
It's hilarious.
I didn't find it funny.
It's hilarious.
I
and
appreciate
the characters
it.
are charismatic.
I appreciate that it's a good film.
It's so
and I
good.
put it down at 6.5, and I'm willing to raise that to like a 7, but
0.9?
7. Like I wanted to walk out.
What is wrong with you?
I was like halfway, and I'm like, I am just not caring about this film. I just don't care. I'm tired. I want to go sleep. I want to sleep instead of watching this.
And I can't. It sucks
And I
that
get
you
it.
watched it while you were tired.
No, I get that it connected with you. I get that you laughed at it. I understand that. If the audio connected, I would appreciate it. But I never got above a chuckle. Maybe if I was watching.
I was on a plane and I was like trying not to like. And that's the thing. I was also tired and supremely jet lagged, and I watched it and it like picked me up, and it was just such a fantastic movie. I stand hard at the 8.5. It is a fantastic movie. Every you're sitting and going like, oh, well, it's tired. I wanted to walk out. The humor didn't connect with me. But I can't think of any actual element that I would say is bad.
I don't disagree with that.
It feels a little bit directionless towards the middle, but it all comes together. Like that's the worst thing I could say about it.
I would say the comedy is the glue that holds it together. If the comedy doesn't connect, it's just a bunch of events.
Which sucks it didn't connect for you, but like it connected for me.
Yeah, and I get that.
I'm trying to think back. Do I even agree with that sentence? The comedy is the glue that holds it together. I think the rhythm is the glue that holds it together, and the comedy is built a lot around that, and that's something that I'm impressed. Like that is something that I appreciate more than you are. Where like, first of all, every scene, and I think it changes from bit to bit, but every scene seems to be built on like a rhythm, a metronome type thing, and all of the walking, all of the dialogue, all of the music is entirely insane. All of the movement, just every like a car moving, things like it's all. And the characters are like to the bathroom.
It's Wes Anderson, right?
Yes.
If you enjoy Wes Anderson, this is debatably the best Wes Anderson.
If you enjoy Wes Anderson, if you enjoy Monty Python, if you enjoy British humor, this is like.
I enjoy Monty Python, but I didn't enjoy that.
Monty Python is a mixed bag of humor.
Yeah,
so there's parts of Monty Python that are like this, and there's parts that are absolutely not.
So that puts Grand Budapest at 6, and that knocks us down to our top 5. So let's take a quick intermission.
Let's take a quick intermission. All right, so we have to do our top 5, but before that, there's a couple movies on here, and people, the internet, the critics, the newspapers, they would have you believe that these movies are fantastic. But I would like to introduce you to Gray and Erich's disrecommended list of 2014.
Movies to not just miss, but to actively avoid.
Yeah. Cherish that you're not watching these movies right now. So as much as it's been a joke, let's start with The Equalizer. The top of our bottom 5.
Best movie of all time.
It was the greatest movie I've ever. Remember when he saved the girl's ring?
Fucking.
Such a good movie.
See, I was sold I was sold on a few things. One of the reviewers I watch, who I now can't watch anymore, and I'll tell you why later. He said that it was surprisingly good, and it's like dad power movie like Taken. And we watched it, and like the trailer had an Eminem song in front of it. And I'm like, yeah, I'm down, yeah. And then we watched it, and it was just really bad. It was just really bad.
Worse than bad. It was boring.
So, Rotten Tomatoes gives it 61%. IMDb gives it 7.3.
Jesus, what?
7.3. Did you realize that says that it's higher than Muppets Most Wanted?
That's insulting.
Do you realize that says that that's higher than fucking...
what other ones
that's all of them from our top list. Oh no.
What?
It's like almost on par with Lego Movie.
What? No.
7.9 is Lego
in the same
Movie.
ballpark.
Yep.
That's IMDb?
IMDb is a group voting process.
Get your act together, IMDb people.
So what would you give it?
Well, I have a number right here, and that number is a 4 out of 10.
I gave it a 3.
That's...
when we left, we kept joking at each other that this was the best movie we've ever seen because that's the only thing we could say. It was like near the end. There's these like the bad SWAT guys beating up the dad surrogate with their fucking guns, and it has a scope, a red dot sight at the end, and like another scope on this side. They just added things to the gun.
There's like this movie's so point bad. Like it just doesn't trust you to catch anything at all. It is like there's this, and we're spoiling the fuck out of all these movies.
Oh,
you're
so
welcome. No, there's a part at the end where he works at a hardware store, but he's an ex-spy. What? And
I guess it doesn't actually say that.
No, it does.
It does.
It does.
Okay, let's be fair. First shot, really good.
Oh yeah.
That opening shot was really nice. It was like this. It was really nice.
Yeah, it's cool.
Yeah. It's a shame the movie was terrible.
Yeah. And there's like
I don't want to talk about this movie anymore.
I want to talk about the scene with the dumb thing.
Go for it.
So there's a scene, and this is like the last quarter of the movie, and the hardware store he's in gets robbed. And there's a guy, and he's like, give me all the money. And he's sitting there, and he's like not blowing his cover. He's all like, just give him the money. It's just money. And the robber's like, yeah. And the ring. And the girl's like, this ring? And he's like, give me that ring. But this ring is precious to me. Give it to me. And she takes it. And then the guy, Denzel Washington, the equalizer, he leaves for a bit. And then he comes back and he like hangs a hammer up. And me describing this makes it sound cooler than it is.
I know. It sounds like that's badass, but no, it was boring, dumb. I hate it.
And then the girl, he puts it in the till. So the girl opens it up and she's like, oh, and there's a close up on the ring and she's like, it's my ring. And you're like, oh, wow. It's so fucking boring. There's not like this. There's no. We're talking about like the Raid 2 and John Wick. Rewatch both of those movies multiple times before even considering watching The Equalizer, and then don't watch The Equalizer. It's bad.
So watch Raid 2 twice, John Wick twice.
Throw in some Muppets, palate cleanser.
Yeah, maybe a little bit Die Hard. A little bit
Yeah,
Die Hard 2.
Throw Die Hard into that.
Maybe Die Hard 3, maybe.
This is the most damning thing I can say. Any of the Die Hards.
Yeah, watch Die Hard 4.
Watch Die Hard 5.
Just throw yourself under the bus. Watch the Eminem lookalike.
Watch 8 Mile.
Anyway, Equalizer, terrible.
Okay, so what's this with the reviewer, or is that not the thing we're going to talk about?
We'll talk about, all right, so Movie Bob.
Oh, no. Did he finally break you?
He released a top 10 and a lowest 20.
No, is it inverted of our list? Because that would be amazing.
I want you to guess the worst movie.
Was it the Lego movie?
No.
Was
It
it?
was Amazing Spider-Man 2.
Nope.
I know, right?
Nope.
I hate that because
Like Amazing Spider-Man 2 isn't like the holy shit, this was the best movie of the year.
I hate anyone that votes it under a 5.
Yeah, straight up. Downvoting it, that's like no good.
I understand not liking it. I understand going, this is not a good movie, but being unwilling to appreciate, I can't talk about it because one of the best scenes is a massive spoiler. But one of the most well-executed character deaths I've ever seen. Just so well done. And they just let it simmer. It was so admirable.
So good. It's at the right part of the movie too. Oh, it's
you could say I would agree if you say Amazing Spider-Man 1's like a 6.
I think it's low, higher, but it's not like offensively low.
I get it. But like anyone that says that Amazing Spider-Man 2 is the worst of all of the Spider-Man movies makes me immediately mad.
Or the worst of anything.
And
really.
I'm in the boat that I think Spider-Man 3 is not terrible. But like
I'm not in that boat. He's in a separate boat with that. I would rather swim than be in that boat. Spider-Man 3 fucking sucks.
I mean, it's not the mountain the molehill I'm willing to die on. I liked it. All right. He voted that as the worst and Interstellar as the 20th worst.
What?
He was on his list.
What?
He really didn't like it.
What's wrong with
that guy? I can
guy?
admire not liking it. But being in the worst 20 is pretty harsh.
I can't admire not liking good movies.
The other reason is he had our next one on his top 10, Under the Skin.
What?
He had Under the Skin in his top 10.
This is a good litmus test to see if people actually are good at judging movies or if they're just like, what would you call it? They're just pretentious.
That's the thing. Like, this was the year of the indie movie, and there was those 2 great indie movies. And because of that, I'm like, I'm going to watch all the high-end indie movies.
Yeah.
And this reminded me why I don't. Because sometimes indie movies are just boring. Sometimes they're just a bunch of stuff that's like really well done, but they didn't get past their own stupid vanity and just made a stupid
Pretentious
film.
is the word. Pretentious is the word. It's so far up its own ass.
It's this film about this alien who's Scarlett Johansson, and like things that did really good. Scarlett Johansson was naked all the time, and it really made her sexuality not a big deal.
Yes.
It used that really effectively. There's a lot of beautiful shots. They made Scarlett Johansson feel like an alien.
The cinematography, they mimic the style of like lower end budget 90s movies, and they do that very well, very effectively. The shooting style is
a lot of the stories behind the production was super cool. Like they would come across random people on the street and just videotape them as the conference for Scarlett Johansson, and then they would ask them if they want to be a part of the movie. So it'd be entirely just very organic. All of these things are really cool, but the movie's not good.
It's so boring. It should have been a short film. Honestly, that would have fixed like half of the problems.
I could edit that movie to be twice as good.
Yeah, easily.
Yeah,
easily.
It's so long. It's trying to be 90s so hard.
They just have there's the music's stupidly repetitive. There's a bunch of long cuts that never end. It just like
bunch of stuff never gets explained.
Not just never gets explained. There's a couple things that aren't useful to the movie. Like there's things that you could cut out of the movie and the movie would be exactly the same. The arc is just paced weird. Like it isn't until the last third of the movie where anything changes at all. And it takes so long to get there, and it's just really long and weird. And like I thought Lucy was gonna be the joke really bad movie of the year. Lucy, like don't watch Lucy, but it's not like
I can at least like appreciate that it's like a proof of concept that a Black Widow movie could exist.
No, it's not. What?
I'm willing to watch Scarlett Johansson be a badass.
I could follow up with it's an interesting proof of concept, but
Yeah.
it
was dumb.
But it was,
dumb.
under the skin is actively bad. It's just like it doesn't get to its point. It's just so.
Rotten Tomatoes give it 85%.
Are you? Yeah.
That is higher than The Raid 2, higher than Fury, and higher than Interstellar.
That's insulting.
And
I don't want to live on this planet anymore.
It has a 6.2 on IMDb, which I feel is which is a lot closer.
A lot closer. Gray, what did you give it?
I gave it a 5.
I gave it a 4.5.
Yeah, I mean, this was not an actively terrible movie. Sometimes it was, but I mean, I finished it.
Well, half of us finishing it was just like, oh, there has to be more than this, and there kind of was at the end, but it wasn't worth getting to.
Next is Godzilla.
Woo!
I hated this because Godzilla and Amazing Spider-Man 2 came out at the same time, and I was told that Godzilla was better than Amazing Spider-Man 2, and because of that, I waited till it was on a movie to watch Amazing Spider-Man 2. Godzilla was dumb. It was really dumb. I get we want a good Godzilla movie, but this Godzilla movie was really, really close to the 1990s Godzilla movie.
The 1990s Godzilla movie is way more entertaining.
I don't know if I'd go that far.
Entertaining. It's not it has more worse parts. Yeah, it has more worse parts, but moment to moment stuff's happening. The characters emote. There's character arcs. There's none of these are good things, but they exist, which they don't exist in this new Godzilla movie. Oh, you know what else doesn't exist in this new Godzilla movie? Godzilla.
Yeah, Godzilla just sort of
there's literally 5 minutes of him in the entire movie, and that's not legitimately all of the scenes with Godzilla in it could be in a trailer.
I get it. They're trying to do the Jaws thing. We're not showing it a whole lot. But the problem was the overall story wasn't good enough.
The stuff that you did see instead wasn't interesting.
I'm the army man that follows the story and I'm bad.
The main character emotes. Oh, okay. So the best part of this movie, by far, Bryan Cranston.
Yeah, and then he dies for no reason.
Dies 30 minutes in for no reason. It's if they just replaced the main character with Bryan Cranston's character, half of the things would be fixed.
Jesus, if Bryan Cranston didn't die, let's say he was just there for the rest of the movie.
Just so that someone could emote. That's the thing. It's funny because watching the movie, it feels like Bryan Cranston is actively trying to balance out everyone else underacting by overacting, and it's hilarious.
And it made it fun. It made it interesting to watch. I was down. I was ready to dedicate. Then he just dies. We were joking in the movie. It was I wonder if he's gonna die. No. What?
This guy.
It's just oh no, I'm sick. It's well, I mean, he can't die. It's not like that would make sense.
Son, speech.
Son, I think I'm dead. Blah. I'm what? Did you just forget that he cost a lot of money? It's oh no, he's sick. I guess he's gonna die. Bryan Cranston, here's your final check. Get the fuck off my set.
Guys, we have enough budget for 5 minutes of Godzilla. Or 8 minutes of Godzilla and half an hour of Bryan Cranston, and that's the choice they made.
So this got a 73% on fucking Rotten Tomatoes and 6.6 on IMDb.
Let's go more into this. I don't feel like we've we've complained about it, but I don't think we've explained why it's bad the same way we've explained why some of these movies are good. So
I just hate it.
So there's it's Godzilla versus these two monsters, and these two monsters they come out of nowhere, and everyone's oh no, what? This ancient evil because of nuclear tests and stuff. And there's the main character who is a soldier, and he only emotes once in the movie, and that's when he's hanging out with his dad, who is Bryan Cranston, who dies half an hour into the movie, so it doesn't matter. From that point on, he is never scared, he is never worried, he is never sad.
Good actors.
Yeah, he's never anything. There's this really cool scene where they're on train tracks, and the monsters are coming, and his co-guy is and they're soldiers, and he's reacting a realistic amount of even as a soldier, this is kind of freaky. And the main character's all.
And then there's the Japanese guy who's Zira. I'm
you need to let them fight.
Why? Racism. I'm what is this garbage?
The main character always ends up where Godzilla is for no reason. In the original Godzilla, the main character was following Godzilla, which is why he was always
that
where
makes
Godzilla.
sense, doesn't it?
That's why he's always where Godzilla is. Instead, he's I'm gonna go to Japan. Oh shit, there's a Godzilla. I'm gonna go to Hawaii. Oh fuck, he came here too. I'll go to San Francisco. Oh no, not another one.
Let's be fair here. There's a supercut of Godzilla that's 4 minutes long. I'd watch. There's the part where Godzilla breathes fire down the neck of one of the monsters.
That was super fucking
That was
cool.
super neat. However, near the end, Godzilla's coming up to the army guy and he pulls out his pistol and he's like, "Bah, bah, 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 bah." And I'm are you fucking kidding me? You everyone shot at Godzilla and it was so ineffective and you just do it again like a fucking idiot. I remember that was the point where I'm this is so dumb. This is so dumb. Yeah, pull out your pistol, you fucking moron.
It's so boring. It's boring. It's just so boring.
I have Godzilla 4.
What did I give it?
You gave it 4.2.
All right, I agree.
You know what?
If anything, I might bump it up a bit, like a 4.5, but it's not, because like it's so much better than some of these other bad movies, but it's not a good movie and it's not worth watching, and I'm sad that it made its money back in.
Here's a question: are you gonna watch the sequel? Because I don't know.
Because
they got the.
You know what I'm gonna do? I'm gonna pirate the sequel, and then I'm gonna bail the second I'm like, oh no, not again.
Yeah, I'm in the same boat. And
I'm
by
also gonna
pirate,
look
I
out
mean
for-
legally acquire.
Legally acquire.
And watch.
Legally. No, like on DVD.
Yeah.
From a friend.
Like
Across the world.
borrowing a movie from a friend, like is entirely normal and legal.
But they get to keep their copy.
Yes, they get to keep their copy, and we borrow it, and then we give it back.
We don't give it back.
Well, I mean, in spirit. Next.
Oh, what's left? Oh,
We didn't expect this movie to be good, but we didn't expect it to be this bad.
This movie is the most impressive movie, and that I'm impressed that it exceeded my expectations for how bad it was going to be. And it also starts with the word God.
God's not dead. So, I mean,
So
we
the
watched,
premise of, okay.
we watched it for the purpose of like making fun of it. But
And then it caught us off guard of how bad it was.
I mean, I expected it to be kind of like preachy and a little bit like mean,
Okay,
and all
hold
that
on.
sort of stuff. But
So, God's Not Dead is a movie based around, it is a Christian-based movie based around the old fable of Albert Einstein. Sometimes the character's Albert Einstein, sometimes they're not. And there's a professor who's all like, anyone who believes in God is an idiot. And then a student's like, oh, I believe in God. And the professor's like, prove it. And then the student makes some bad arguments as to why God is real or why the professor's arguments don't stand. And then at the end, the class all goes, and it turns out that's either the end of the story or some of the stories. It's like, and that student was Albert Einstein, which isn't true. And so this is a full movie based around that. And you can imagine, like, my thing watching it is like, I want to know if they have bad arguments or mediocre arguments.
that was the part that you found interesting. I went in expecting that. The thing I didn't expect was the xenophobia.
This is a straight up racist movie.
So there's a Muslim family.
I guess, yeah, xenophobia is way more of an accurate term.
There's a family who's Muslim, and one of them is like listening to the Bible on audiobook, and when the dad realizes it, he beats her.
He beats her. He kicks her out of the house. And it's just so...
That's...
And the worst part is, like, at the beginning, we were like, this is kind of touchy against these Muslim people. And then, like, I was like, oh, man, like, what's the worst thing? It's not like he could beat her. Like, that would be too far. And he beats her.
To be fair, I can imagine a movie like that being decent. Like, you can maybe make that argument, make that into characters, whatever. That's it. That's all that happens with these characters.
The story arc was she was beaten for her love of Christ.
And she comes in and she joins the church, and that's all we hear about her. I didn't enjoy that. I thought that was super dumb.
There was a Chinese student who, his whole deal was he needs to work hard and impress his dad at college.
Let's
and
be
he
clear.
became a Christian
Let's
instead, too.
be entirely clear here. We are both atheists, but I'm entirely of the opinion of we should all be able to work together. There should be a point where we can all, like, you can believe what you believe, I believe what I believe, and we're all cool. This so harshly goes against that. I don't want to talk about this movie.
I want to talk about this movie so
I'm
hard.
getting mad.
Good. Great. This is what the audience came for.
I don't want to do this.
The character arc is non-existent.
Okay, all right. The characters are terrible. Characters are miserable. Characters are frustrating. The movie is bad.
The Christian character is like, it's like badly written. It's like he's persecuted by everyone around him, but he's not actually. Like his girlfriend leaves him because the professor challenges him to a debate, and she's like, "We've been together since grade 6, and you know what? If you go against this guy, we're done." And like she's just a straw man, like she's just like a weird. And then they're just done. It's like the weirdest thing ever.
Everyone is simultaneously against the main character and also for them.
Yeah, it's just so weird. The professor is like abusive. He should be fired.
Yeah, he was just like strangely cruel.
There's like a scene where like they have it's like 3 sets of debates, and after the first one, he approaches the student in the hall and like grabs him, and he's like, "You think blah 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 blah? I'll murder you dead." He doesn't actually say "I'll murder you dead," but it's like he like crosses the line for a professor.
And then they come across a Christian rock band, and they teach them about the wonders of
Oh,
life.
there's the businessman that doesn't care about his own mother. Like all of these characters are bad. Like just from a writing, like I could have written God's Not Dead better.
Yeah.
If you don't want to go to the Christian stuff, I could have written like I've seen debates.
You know what?
You
like,
could have
yeah.
William Lane Craig make up.
You could have, like, that's the thing. We went in expecting it to be bad, but I would have been happily surprised. If this was just a movie showing that side, having both sides being serious, I would have appreciated that. I would be fine with that. I didn't expect it. But
Even
I
if
would
it
have
did
been
like
fine with that.
a thing where
And I would
it's
have
like
been fair
maybe
to
you
it.
just have to have faith. Like that's not satisfying to me, but writing-wise, that's a better premise than
So
if
the frustration is the xenophobia towards Muslims.
and
at the
Chinese
very
people and businessmen.
And at the very end, what happens is the atheist is walking into the street mad because he lost his argument, and he gets hit by a car. And as he's dying on the street, he...
The Zimbabwean, Kenyan, whatever, like stereotypical African, and he's an African import priest and like a local priest in whatever city they're in happened upon him. And they've been having a bunch of weird stuff throughout the movie too. They're also bad characters. They're also one-dimensional.
He converts him at the last moment, and no one cares that this guy died.
It's so weird. They're
It
just
really
all, like,
bothered me.
praising.
Everyone it's like he dies, and he's like, maybe I'm not an atheist. And then everyone goes to the rock concert and has a good time.
It's so weird.
That's really bothering to me.
Yeah.
Anyone of any religion dying is a tragedy. That is a bad thing. Not giving them proper respect is disgusting.
That's like you want to know what?
You may
If
not like
if
a
it was
person.
the opposite scene where Christian was dying and the guy's like, just stop believing in God right before you could just stop believing. Like
That's
everyone would
offensive.
that's offensive, and you're right. It's offensive, and it's also like bad writing.
It's offensive, and then the next scene of not even acknowing that the character died, not
And
acknowledging
the
that
atheists are
that
like,
person,
oh well, let's go to the Sam Harris debate.
not
and then
acknowledging
was it.
not acknowledging that person doesn't have loved ones, not acknowledging that
Well,
this-
he doesn't because he pushed away his girlfriend for putting.
God, I don't want to talk about this movie anymore.
Okay,
Okay, the movie got a 5.0 on IMDb, 70% on Rotten Tomatoes.
Excuse me, what? Hold on. What? Rotten Tomatoes gave it a 70%?
17.
Oh, good. Thank you.
Okay, I gave it a 1.
I gave it a -2.
So, burn that movie. All right, let's get into the top 5.
I love hating that movie so much.
So,
Top 5.
top 5. We are down to Dune, Nightcrawler, Guardians of the Galaxy, Interstellar, and the Lego Movie. Let's start with Dune. Do you want to talk about it? You just watched it.
I just watched it. That movie's so bad. Like, it just on all. As someone who didn't care for the Dune movie, as someone who didn't read the book, it inspired me. It's just such a good story, and it's so well done too.
So we have to talk about it a little bit because not everyone's seen it. Jodorowsky's Dune, or I'm going to say his name wrong every time. So Dune was this movie and book series that were both like the beginning of science fiction movies and it's the beginning of science fiction
the
novels.
movie wasn't as pioneering as the book.
Yes. No, the movie was a bit of a flop.
It was a flop, but it also came out after like space operas had been established.
But this is the story of this guy who wanted to make a Dune movie.
Alejandro Jodorowsky.
And he made this and he got all these people involved before they did any film, like H.R. Geiger. He got, who else did he get? Pink Floyd?
He got Pink Floyd.
He got
the
the more
one
you
comic
watch
book
this movie, the more you're like, I
Ross?
want to see this movie.
Yeah.
He's like he assembled this amazing team, and he like the pitch that sold me was like 60s and 70s sci-fi novel covers the movie.
Yeah, absolutely.
It was like he made the storyboard. That's amazing. You're looking at it. It's like he's walking through the scenes. The guy's a little floofy and artsy, and you're kind of like, yeah. But he talks and he ropes you in, and I'm like, yeah, I do want to see this movie.
Absolutely.
I want to see the fuck out of this movie. And he's showing you the storyboards, and they're amazing. And it goes on, and this is so fucking cool.
And like everything's like solid thematically, and it's like floofy and artsy, but it all has a point, and it all drives home, and it all just.
All of the different sects of Dune were separate and interesting and different. Oh, it was so cool.
Like it's this perfect balance of feeling it out and thinking it out.
Neither of us know anything about Dune.
More or less.
And I was so down to watch that movie. I'm interested in reading the book now.
Yes.
And I know the movie is garbage. I know the movie that came out. What happened was he made the script, he made the storyboard.
We have to go way back. Okay, so him as a thing. So he was in Mexico and he did theater stuff. I think it was Mexico. He had done theater stuff, and Jodorowsky. And at some point he was kind of like, I want to make movies, and everyone was against it because in Mexico you need to like be part of the elite in order to make movies, or in Mexico at that time. At least this is how the documentary pictures it. I don't know. I don't live in Mexico, and did not at that time either. But he was like, whatever, I want to make my movies. And he makes like this most crazy art house film thing ever. What was it? This first one.
It was an art house
El
movie.
Topo?
It was weird.
Was that the first one? Or did he make another one and then El Topo? Anyways, he made one and it was like the craziest thing ever. And it found its cult following and it became financially successful. So the producer's like, okay, make another one. And the exact same deal where it's like just this crazy movie and he starred in it and he wrote it and directed it and it was just insane and it like was so floofy and existential. And he had found a following in France and he like and then he did another one and again. And then the guy's like, so what do you want to do? And he's like, I want to do Dune. And this is before.
There was no sci-fi movie by this point. No Star Wars, no Star Trek.
Yeah, this is early 70s.
No
yeah.
Aliens, no. There were sci-fi movies were not a thing. And he wrote this story, and he made this storyboard, and he assembled this amazing team.
He like hunted literally around the world for like, he's like.
What was the budget he wanted?
It was like 15 million.
Yeah.
It was like it
something
was,
that's normal now, but then was ridiculous.
Yeah.
And you can continue, but I'm going to talk about what didn't work.
Okay. So yeah, no, like not. Watch the documentary. It does a better job of doing this. And like, okay, and that's the thing. We need to talk about the documentary because it's on our list on top of just this story of the documentary is telling. So the documentary's done very well. It starts out where you don't really know what's going on. And then it like introduces you to his more eccentric side. So you're like, oh, no way. And then just like he did for all these people, it sells you on his vision so hard. And it's so well paced. It's only like an hour and a half.
Every time I hear a new thing, I'm like, all right, tell me more.
Exactly.
All right, tell me more. And every time I hear a little bit more, I'm like,
and
yeah.
then every
yeah,
piece of art, you're like, yeah.
Then like there was all this concept art that was just super cool.
It's so awesome.
So anyway, he puts together his storyboard, he puts together his kit, and he pitches it. And predictably, someone who has a multitude of art, high art like pieces, all this sort of stuff, it didn't get funded. No one wanted to finance it.
This is spoilers, but like just watch the documentary. No one wanted to finance it specifically because of him, which was soul crushing to him. He had done first of all of his movies had been a success. He had done his part perfectly, and just like because he was the director, they didn't want to do it, and it was just so it just destroyed him.
But then this storyboard lives on.
The thing is, so while he was pitching the movie, they did like this spectacular show of like, thump, this is the art book of our Dune movie. And so every studio had that art book lying around. Yeah. And it actually like spread around and inspired everything you know about all other science fiction.
Star Wars, Star Trek, like H.R. Geiger went on to make Alien. All these
Alien,
they went on.
Blade Runner.
They were all inspired from this man. And scenes are straight out of it. Mm-hmm. It's so cool. Like the intro scene of Jodorowsky's Dune is used in other people's films. And because like no one else is gonna use it. And he fucking brainchild these amazing shots that no one had imagined.
Like things that are stereotypical now. I didn't know this, but like from the perspective of a robot with like a HUD, that was invented by him. Like
the idea of like a long move forward along galaxies and stars whizzing by and stuff happening, that was him. He invented all of these concepts that no one had ever imagined. Movie's crazy good.
Yeah.
Unfortunately, I'm gonna say it's number 5.
Yeah. At some point, it's not very fair, but at some point, it's a documentary, and it's like being the best of the best documentary. And the sad thing is that like Oscars or something, it's not gonna be this one. It's gonna be like the one where like sheep are dying out. That's the one that's gonna win. But like this is just like as far as constructing a documentary, the production value is very nice. The interviews are done really well. They do a good job of animating the storyboards to like get you pulled in. Like
Guardians of the Galaxy is number 4.
It is. Like, just because it's an easy decision doesn't mean it's low on the list. Like,
I don't disagree, but it feels bad. Because, like, Guardians of the Galaxy deserves higher than a 4.
Does it? I don't know.
It was just really way
overall
better than
in the
it
year.
been.
Yeah, it was. But now we're getting into expectations again. We'll
talk a little bit about this movie here. Marvel's movie that no one expected to be good.
First of all,
really good.
Like, let's talk about Marvel movies. How are they not at 10s by now? Because it seems like everyone is better than all the other ones, unless they're Thor movies.
Talk about a series of movies that has no right to be as good as it is.
Like, there's no way they should have pulled that off and had like 3 that are less than great.
And it keeps like every time a new one comes out, I'm like,
They're
I want to watch Ant-Man. I don't care. It could be a 7, and I want to watch it. I want to watch Ant-Man. Guardians of the Galaxy was the one where it's like, I don't know. That's going to be the one that probably doesn't work. But then they made Firefly plus Marvel. And I was like, oh, it's so good. You watch, like, it's so cool with making its own little chunk of the universe. And you watch it, and it's like the space is really colorful. It feels really crowded. All the characters are super cool. They're not like, they're all a little Han Solo-y, but I mean, like, they're all super fun. Oh my God. They made Groot this like weird character that everyone loves the shit out of. And like, they did that really well.
I don't know the comics. Gray knows the comics very well.
I'm familiar with the comics.
Very well.
Not very well.
Expert at the comics.
I know comics more than you do. The comics are trash. Guardians of the Galaxy was the area they put the characters that weren't doing so hot, and they put them in Guardians of the Galaxy comic books. They took that and they're like, let's make this good. And then they did. It was so fucking good. I watched it, I think, 3 times.
I've only seen it once, and I regret that. I wish
you regret seeing it only once.
Yeah,
Yes.
I wish I had seen it more time. I wish I saw it instead of Under the Skin, but like in general, it's a better use of my time than like I recently watched through House of Lies. I should have rewatched Guardians of the Galaxy.
It appealed to me in the way that it appeared to me just as a film. It appeared to me as a filmmaker, the use of color, the use of space, the use of like just everything. It appealed to me as a comic book fan because of like the joyful tone it took. The music,
It
was all
reminds
these
me
old references.
of like you say Firefly and Marvel. It reminds me of like Titan AE and Marvel.
I never had the love for Titan AE that you did.
I think I appreciate it more than love it, but like as far as like a Titan AE was like oh good, another galaxy we can get invested in. Like Guardians of the Galaxy did that, but well.
Yeah, I agree with that. I didn't like Titan AE.
I don't.
I didn't watch it till I was like out past its
Yeah, you
point,
didn't.
but-
You.
But the
too old
point is
to
that
ride this watching this movie, right?
Titan AE was relevant to its own time.
Guardians of the Galaxy will stick out.
live on.
If someone is ever like, I want to watch sci-fi but funny, but charming, is that the way? Not just funny, but charming.
This might be a big step, but I would say you watch the first Star Wars, like Star Wars Episode 4, the first Star Wars film, maybe 5 and 6, and then you watch Guardians of the Galaxy.
I'll take this a step, which is weird because I didn't expect to be like praising it over you. I would say you go Star Wars, Empire. I mean, because that's the order. You should watch Empire Strikes Back first because it's a better movie. But you like go Star Wars. Empire Strikes Back is better than the first Star Wars.
I don't think that's a fight we should get into.
Top movie of 19 whatever.
I
you watch
could-
Star Wars, Empire Strikes. Watch Guardians of the Galaxy before Return of the Jedi.
I agree with that.
As far like there are other more significant sci-fi films like Blade Runner and stuff like that, but
Guardians of the Galaxy is the easiest to get into.
it is. It really
It is just really casual. It's fun
You
to
wanna
watch.
like, kinda
Blade
like
Runner's
that-
hard.
How the new Star Treks are kind of like, oh man, people that don't care about being Star Trek fans can watch it.
Guardians
This
of
is like that for general sci-fi for everybody.
Guardians of the Galaxy is what the new Star Trek movies try to be.
Oh yeah. You want to know what? Yes. Finally, a criticism of the new Star Treks I can get behind.
I'm a little bit more. No, I don't want to talk about the new Star Trek films. I don't like them.
No, I like them.
Yeah, we both kind of like. Well, I don't want to talk about them. All right, now we're on to
The top 3. All right. So I think the next one is where does Nightcrawler fit on this?
Oh man, this is like murdering my darlings. Let's just start talking about.
Oh
these
man,
films.
giving these films high praise. It's like so tough.
How about we walk through all three films and then pick them all other spots because they like.
I think we need to just discuss it out because there isn't like from here on it isn't like a clear like oh this one was slightly better than this one. They all have their own merits and they all have their own expectations and they all have their own exceeding them.
Let's start with Lego Movie.
I quit. They all tie for 1.
Oh man, I don't want to see any of these get third. A Lego Movie.
That's weird because like the third is like high. Like, third of top 5 is like good.
Lego Movie was so good. Oh man, I've never had a movie just more get me in like the childhood.
Right?
Like everything was so nice and
so
fun, and like the twist midway was like so nice.
And they follow through and rewatching it. There's so many background jokes.
There's so
and
many,
the
like-
pacing is perfect.
Oh, the pacing's
have you
so
seen it more
good.
than once?
I've seen it twice. Yeah.
Yeah. The second time watching it, there's no part where you're like,
The
"Alright, it's
crackle's super cool.
crackle-
All the characters super fun and relevant.
Liam Neeson, Morgan Freeman are like really great at being their Lego guys.
They got Batman in it through magic.
Yeah.
Like, how did you get Batman? How did you get all those references to all the IPs you have access to make toys?
That's the
for?
Bionicle joke that was like super spot on.
Jeez. And then every once in a while they'd go into mini figs and they'd go into the big
Yeah,
figs.
yeah. There was when things were far off. they would build the Lego sets differently in the movie and have them closer to the camera, as if the whole thing was stop animation. It was amazing. Like,
And I'd almost go as far as to say, like, Toy Story 3 I really liked. I
I
liked Toy
would
Story
put
3.
this over Toy Story 3. Yep.
Yep.
Lego
Toy
movies.
Story 3 got me right in the heart where I was like, I was tearing.
I cried.
I openly cried at Toy
I
Story
cried
3.
at the end of Toy Story 3.
I didn't cry at Lego Movie, but I was like, how many did you buy? We bought Lego.
We right
we
after
bought
Lego movie,
after
we went to
Lego
Toys R Us
movie.
and bought
And
Lego.
I am a grown man.
And I want to buy more Lego.
buy more Lego.
Like,
That movie made me want to play Lego again.
it was exactly like how like you always talk about the Star Wars Revisited as how you remember Star Wars.
Yeah.
This movie is how I remember playing with Lego as a kid. Just like, I only have this set of bricks, but this set of bricks is a whole world, and I
Yeah.
will not let that slow me down.
Yeah.
And like, it's so funny, and it's a good story, and like, some of the negatives are like some of the side characters are a bit hammy.
Yeah.
That's my complaint. That's my complaint of the movie.
Yeah, but it's for children.
That's not a
Like,
good. That's don't.
Come
grade
on,
the
like
curve.
Batman. Batman's super cool.
No, Batman's super cool.
Oh, we
No,
got
like,
the white
cat
beard. I don't
and
know
the
what-
kind of the spaceship guy. Like, those are the two negatives.
And you see, even you say that, and I'm like, dude, the spaceship guy was awesome.
Yeah, that's why I say kind of.
Yeah, and
like, the cat character was the one that I felt was
be-
like lazy.
I don't disagree with
And
you.
that's the only thing I can think of wrong with this movie. And the spaceship guy was kind of getting, like, kind of pushing his luck a little bit.
But when he made his spaceship,
But
I
then
was
he made
super
a
happy.
spaceship.
I was happy when he had to make a spaceship. I'm like, yeah, you have to make your spaceship. Like my expectations went from like, films, how do you make this better? Went from like, yeah, Lego.
Right.
It eroded my like harsh pineapple-y outside into this like
Sweet, delicious.
to my sweet,
pineapple-y
delicious, sweet
core.
pineapple core. I was so happy to watch this movie. Fucking love Lego Movie.
Lego movie's so good.
Night-
And it's like I love the Muppets movie because I love the Muppets. But the Lego movie's just a legitimately good movie.
So good. Next, Nightcrawler.
All right.
Nightcrawler.
It just like it reminds me of being a kid and being a sociopath again. I just love
Uh,
Nightcrawler so much.
Nightcrawler is what I've been doing as a comparing it to Taxi Driver.
Yeah.
It is the closest thing I compare it to.
This is controversial. I say Nightcrawler is more palatable than Taxi Driver.
I entirely agree. Taxi Driver is hard to watch. It is something everyone should watch if they
Yeah.
want to become a filmmaker, they want to be someone who critiques film. But it's hard. It's hard to watch like Godfather is hard to watch.
Yeah.
It's hard to watch Godfather. You should do it, but it's hard. I
It is
understand why you
not
haven't
hard
watched
to
it.
watch Nightcrawler.
Every
It
time
is creepy and weird, but it flows.
in the same way that the character is drawn into these scenes, I was drawn into this film. I wanted to know. There was never a scene where I went, I don't want to know what happens next. I was never in a rush
Absolutely.
for a scene to be finished. I wanted to know what happened all the time.
Yup.
I loved how we went into it.
Cool. Hold on. So Nightcrawler is a movie starring Jake Gyllenhaal, and he is a severely off-kilter man who is trying to get a job, and eventually he lands on his dream job is being a freelance videographer for the news.
And see, I don't want to go any farther than that.
That's it.
The made by the same guys that
Do
did
not
Drive.
watch the trailer.
Yes, skip the trailer. Made by the guys who did Drive, another fantastic film, but not made this year.
Was it made by the same guys that did Drive?
At least the director, same director.
Okay.
So good. I don't even like. It's just so worth watching. Anyone who's interested in filmmaking at all should watch it, because there was definitely moments when he's doing things that I was doing.
It's
Yeah,
as a guy with a video camera, he like. It's yeah, you're right. It's not like Lego Movie where we can go in.
Lego Movie, it's okay to spoil everything because Lego Movie is about the journey.
Oh yeah.
That movie was a movie we went into expecting, it'll be good. I'm pumped.
Based off, first, again, don't watch the trailer, but based off the trailer, we were like, this will either be pretty good or probably awful. And it was like fantastic.
So much better than it had any right to be.
It was like done for a limited budget. I don't know what like 8 million or something like that.
So
Like
good.
borderline, it was another indie film. It's just such a solid movie. The downside is the ending tapers off a little bit. It's like Lego Movie where I'm like, there's this minor thing.
Yeah. All right.
Very
I
minor.
want to defend it, but you're not wrong.
It's not a big flaw.
No, the important thing to keep reminding myself is we both say it's 9s, and I agree. This movie
Yeah.
is not a 10, it's a 9.
Yeah.
In the same way that, like, Godfather is a 10.
It's a 9.9.
Okay, I'm
Yeah.
fine with that.
Yeah.
But doesn't mean it's
Like, yeah, it's better than 9.5. I wouldn't quite give it a 10, but yeah, it's that kind of a thing.
Slight subject. Any movie you think is a 10? I don't think there's any. I don't think there could ever be a 10.
I don't know.
10 is a perfect film.
The closest for me is Shawshank Redemption. But I'd have to rewatch it to go like, yeah, this solid 10.
Any case, sorry. Next is Interstellar. Interstellar. You really care about Interstellar. I want to talk a little bit about the behind the scenes of it. So you go ahead and give the synopsis.
Okay, so the synopsis is we follow the main character Cooper, who's played by Matthew McConaughey, in a not too distant but somewhat distant future of the world where while we were busy fighting with each other, drought and just drought like took over, and we're out of usable water, and we're vastly running out of crops, and so humanity's kind of on the brink of extinction. And in the behind the scenes, NASA is trying to find a way to like save the world, and they have like this last ditch plan. And Matthew McConaughey, I'll do a synopsis, and then we'll okay. And Matthew McConaughey, he's just wrapped up in this whole thing, and we could go a little bit deeper into it. Basically, NASA's trying to find another planet to habitate people on, but that's really difficult. I'll talk about the logistics, and you can go into behind the scenes. So logistically, the movie is incredibly true to actual science, where gravity is a huge problem when trying to escape the Earth and trying to transport large goods. Fuel is a thing you need to watch out for. There's a high-end physics stuff like time bending and things like that. And it all follows. It's so true to it, and it's just
the Tesseract.
the Tesseract is just cool. Take us through some of the behind the scenes of Interstellar.
I enjoyed the film greatly, but the behind the scenes were super cool. They never used green screen. They pre-rendered all of pre-rendered is wrong, but they made all of the effects and projected it behind the sets.
And the sets, by the way, we're dealing with like spaceships and shuttles and stuff like that. They built full spaceships and shuttles, and
So
they
cool.
built them like Sims. So the actors were in it, and the set, which was an actual shuttle chassis and interior, I guess, was rocking back and forth and things like that. And the things they saw outside were the projected environment, so they saw exactly what like the characters saw, and they reacted, and there was very little green screen.
The entire concept being that like these actors be able to appropriately respond based off what's happening. The effect was that the closest movie I compare it to is Apollo 13 in feel. Apollo 13 feels like a dirty, real like spaceship movie, and this feels real.
They feel like NASA movies.
It feels like NASA.
It feels like every time you see like Chris Hadfield or like when there's like the cam on the side of the shuttle and it takes off, like that's what this movie feels like.
And it's impressive because like everything is like step or two above what we at. The robots are these weird like four-legged like things, but
they're like squares, but
entirely.
they fold in and out of each other in a way that like looks entirely feasible and entirely practical.
I buy it 100%.
Absolutely.
Like there was a moment in the beginning I'm like, that's kind of weird. Entirely took that away from me. I bought it 100%. We can't talk about it, I'd say, past the midway part of the movie.
Yeah.
But that movie was way better than any right to be. The thing
I wouldn't say way better than it had any right to be.
You went in with high hopes.
Here's the thing. I went in with high hopes, and then you were all like, it's getting bad reviews. And I was like, oh, that sucks. And I was not expecting it to be on par with Nightcrawler. And then I was like, oh my goodness, it was as good as I was wildly expecting it to be.
I was expecting 7-8.
Me too.
Because I was expecting, the director gets a certain amount of immediate praise because he's made a lot of good movies, but I heard no advertisement for this film. I heard the trailers weren't particularly telling, and fairly enough, you can't describe this film.
It's really weird to
I can't sell you on this film.
The best thing I could say selling you on this film, aside from it being a solid movie, is the experience of seeing it. It's designed. It's that's another thing. It's one of the best designed to be seen in theaters movies I've ever seen. Ever. Like
it is an experience.
All like, oh, Avatar. I was at the planet. Interstellar.
I'm more pro Avatar than you are, but this is a movie that was what Avatar thinks it was.
Absolutely, and more importantly, what people think Avatar was. But yeah, no, there's a scene, a lot of the spaceships and the peril and stuff like that. The sound systems in the theaters are all designed to go a little bit over what's comfortable, so that you're like, oh god. It's so good.
It's so willing to just let characters die. Everyone felt like they were in danger, which is appropriate.
You were
in
talking
space,
about that
everything can murder you.
with Fury. This is exactly the
That's
same
not
thing.
even a fair comparison.
No, but like it's the same idea where
Yeah.
like, oh my goodness, a rock might hit their ship and they'll explode. Like it's just so good, and the characters are super good. And we can't talk about the midway point, but I'm gonna do some broad strokes for the end. At the very end, there's like this thing, and you're like, "What? This is the dumbest thing ever." And then it pulls the whole movie together.
Yeah. I was right in that same boat. There's a point where it gets a little mystical, and I'm like, "You had me, movie. You had me, and you lost me." And then it roped it all together, and that was impressive. I gave up all hope on that movie at a point where I'm like, "Oh, you decided to go dumb," and then it did it. It just did it. Now, this hurts. I don't think Interstellar is the best.
Oh, what do you think is best?
I don't know, but I don't.
See, I was thinking that about Nightcrawler.
I don't think Lego Movie is the best either. That's
They
the
can
thing.
all be tied for third. Okay, how about this?
No, we can't
We'll
do
do Raid 2 at number 1, the Muppet Movie at number 2, and then Interstellar, Lego Movie, and Nightcrawler tied for third.
I don't want them to be tied for third.
No more ties.
We should.
We need to pick out an
We're at the
order.
point where like we had to get those ties because we differed. I think that we
We had to do those ties because they were tied. I don't know that these movies are tied.
I think we need to figure out our order of these three, and I think we can do it.
Nightcrawler was stupid solid, but it also was.
Nightcrawler, I'd say, is 2.
I think it didn't do. I know this is a weird broad stroke. It didn't do what for cinema, what Lego Movie did for family movies, and Interstellar did for sci-fi.
Oh, I don't want it to be third. But you're not wrong.
It's not like, watch Nightcrawler instead of whatever you're gonna do tonight. Watch Nightcrawler. It's a great movie. I want to watch it again.
Yeah.
We should
I want to watch it again.
I want to watch it again.
So Nightcrawler's third, and we got to figure out which is first and second.
After the thing,
you know what?
Let's watch Guardians of the Galaxy and Nightcrawler tonight.
I would be down with that. And Lego Movie.
Yeah.
You know what? Here's a better idea. First and second are her.
Wait, what?
First and second are her. Just watch her again. Her from last
Yes.
year. Her is first and second.
Yeah.
All right.
Okay, deal.
Shaking your head. You didn't like her?
Oh, I think I watched her the other day, if I remember correctly. That's the one about the.
Serial love story.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Ew. Oh my god.
What?
I
Oh.
was trying so hard not to just throw up all over my boyfriend that was sitting beside me.
Oh, you should have stopped. That's just how much she was inspired. No. Okay, here's a sentence I will say. Her was better than either Interstellar or Lego Movie.
Like, I understand the story in her, but like, it was just so dry. I couldn't.
Oh, so perfect.
I couldn't.
We should just have another movie of best movie that is her.
And I like see. That's not the first time I've heard that. How about this? Would you agree that Her is not a movie that everyone will think is a 9 or a 10?
I don't think anyone. I don't really trust other people's opinions
Well,
of movies, but yeah.
I mean, like, there is something to be said
Everyone
about a
hated
movie.
Spider-Man too.
Let's be fair here. There is a positive for a film being digestible.
Yeah.
And like that's Guardians of the Galaxy, Lego Movie, Interstellar.
And Nightcrawler compared to its counterparts of like Taxi
Yeah,
Driver.
it was more digestible. Her is not a digestible movie.
I think it's not digestible for other reasons. It's not like it was paced bad. It's not like anything. It's just the subject matter is something
Yes,
that I
it's
don't
hard.
think people can.
It's
dig
hard.
into.
It's a
And
hard-
that's their problem, not the movies.
Would you agree with that?
Yeah, I agree completely because I myself, I kind of hate technology, but I love it at the same time. It's a love-hate relationship.
No, totally.
Whereas my cousin Chantal, she thinks that is an adorable love story because it's something that doesn't happen often. Right?
That was what I mean, like, we're super into technology, and what I admired was it was so unrepentingly dedicated to what it was talking about. No one was ever like taken aback by like once you introduce the concept of AI, they never like babied it. They never went like, oh, you're dating an AI, that's weird. No, there's like, oh, that's cool. It's like you're gay or something. Whatever.
Yeah.
Who cares?
Yeah.
You wanna
Yeah.
let's go have a picnic. And I really liked that. I like how they didn't baby me. They were just like everything they were talking about was super cool and interesting. But I do understand that.
I understand that it can't, and I want to know what Interstellar is kind of like that too. Where like I don't think that Interstellar is a movie for everyone. Like I stand by this is the quality of Interstellar. It is a 9.
Are we gonna knock her? Are we gonna put that her conversation in there?
Oh, absolutely.
All right.
I want to do the
You know
bit
what?
where
Actually,
we're like,
you know what? That actually really tightly closes it because I agree with Interstellar. It is more digestible than it should be. But
it's not a movie for everyone.
yeah, I'm gonna say that's the reason it's second. And I'm sorry.
That's so weird. I don't like. I'm not
'Cause
offended. I just don't know if I'm okay with this.
Yeah, I'm a little raw
You
from it
want to
too.
know what? I see where you're coming from.
Because Lego Movie, anyone can watch, anyone can appreciate, even
And
if you
no
didn't like.
it's like old Pixar movies.
Even if you
without,
didn't-
with no compromise to the movie.
Even if you weren't a Lego person, I think you can watch the Lego Movie and really enjoy it.
That said, I think like Interstellar gets some honorable mentions for like just pushing cinema forward. By
it
the
is
way,
a
we're talking about
close
like
race.
one of the like biggest directors in the world, and he does like some experimenting stuff with sound. There's that one scene.
He doesn't make another sequel. He doesn't make a thing. He just makes this movie that has.
like Interstellar. There's that one scene where you can't hear what the character's saying, and there's a reason for it, and like it all plays into the pacing. And,
is so willing to take risks because they can, because he has the money.
but he also is like an indie filmmaker at heart. Like Interstellar, and you want to know what? Now I'm convincing myself the other way around, where Lego Movie just like might not be like ambitious enough to be like the number
I disagree
one movie.
entirely. And Lego Movie was crazy ambitious. Like that movie could have entirely phoned it in. They made that movie so much better than it could have been. They kept pushing. Like imagine how
It's
hard
a
it would.
multi-layered family movie.
Imagine
Yeah,
how-
I take that back.
Imagine how hard it would have been to get Batman in there. Imagine how hard it would have been to have all those
It might have
references
been really
in there.
easy. I don't know what the licensing deals
I mean,
are. But
I can imagine it's hard. I imagine like DC is like, well, we got to make sure the movie's good. We got to make sure you represent our character good. Like I imagine it was a nightmare.
yeah,
And
DC's been very hard with making sure their characters have.
Don't be mean.
No, but I know
They
what
hurt
you're
themselves.
saying. No, I think a bigger point to that is just integrating Batman comfortably into the world.
So I'm gonna go and say it. 5 is June. Nightcrawler. Guardians of the Galaxy is 4. Nightcrawler's 3. Interstellar's 2. Lego Movie's 1.
I don't want to, but I think I agree.
All right, I think we did it.
We did it.
All right, so here's the list. Here's the finished list up on the screen.
Look down at the bottom. There's the thing. We'll also like list them up on the screen. The top 10 movies. Then there's the 5 honorable mentions, which I guess we have to bump one of our other ones up because we tied Lego Movie and Raid for 10. Or sorry, Muppets and Raid for 10th, didn't we?
Yes.
Yeah.
We bumped them at 10 and 11. It's top 11. Let's be fair here. This is our opinion of the best movies, but
No,
we
this
have
is literally the best movies.
but we feel that we have backed them up decently well. I'm certainly happy to see. Definitely tell us what your opinions are, what your movies
Yeah,
are,
the
what we got
thing-
wrong, what we missed.
The thing
but
that I'm
prepared to back it up.
Yeah, the thing that I'm not interested in is people either dismissing this as just being our opinions. If you can counter points we've made, go for it. If you can't, then you don't. And I'm also not interested in people, whatever the opposite of that would be, dismissing it because it's just our opinions. Oh, and then dismissing it because of either of us or something that like, oh, Erich and Gray like Lego, so Lego Movie isn't actually like, the fact that we like Lego doesn't change the fact that the Lego Movie is a borderline perfect movie.
No, I'm definitely. If you guys want to start a conversation in the comments, we'll respond.
Oh, absolutely.
Definitely.
I'll promise you that. We'll
All
respond.
right. Well, that's it. Thank you, Eric.
Thank you, Gray.
Have a good night.